Hi, I'm Jeff. Welcome to dirtyshirt.info, and this morning we've got a problem with one of our power windows on this truck. This is a 2001 2500 HD Chevy Silverado. So let me tell you a little bit about the symptoms that led up to us having to do the work this morning. So over a period of time, about a week or so, I punched the button to get the window to move up or down. It just wouldn't really respond until I mashed on the button, and then it would take off and work. The final straw that broke the camel's back was that I lowered the window, I heard a noise, and I tried to raise the window, and it only came up about an inch. And while I was driving, I could hear a lot of rattling around inside the door, so I knew that there was a problem. This truck has about 120,000 miles on it. I've done this job at the 60,000 mile mark, so I've been in and doing this, so you get about 60,000 miles out of a window regulator is what I'm thinking. It has a lifetime warranty on it. I did go pick up the part so that when I get into the door, I can sort of make decisions. But man, if I got a lifetime warranty on something, and I take this door apart, I'm replacing this no matter what. So let's take a look at just where we're at right now, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tape and probably wrap that around the top here and hold the window still. Then I'm going to remove all the trim pieces here, here. There's a few nuts and bolts and so forth that I can actually see. Then I'm going to take a tool that I'll show you here in a minute that helps me pop this panel off. There are wires that go to the control panel that will have to be released, and then this whole thing is going to come off, and we're going to find underneath that is a piece of almost like visqueen. It's a thick piece of plastic. It keeps the wind noise down, and it's been glued onto the door. That glue is good for 1 or 2 installations, and then it starts to not stick so well. So what I've done before is used just silicone to do that. So let me get into it, and I'll show you the back of the panel so you can kind of see where all of the bits and pieces that hold it on are actually located, so that you can target that when you take your door apart. I'm just starting to disassemble the door, and I'm using this tool. I believe it's called an upholstery removal tool, and you can see it kind of has this U-shaped apparatus at the end. I think the most important part of this tool is that it has a round shaft. You could attack this job with a screwdriver, for example, and oftentimes they'll have a square shaft, and what happens is that when you shove it up underneath in a crack and pry up, the sharp edges of the shaft actually nick the plastic, and especially on an older car. This one's 2001, it's 2013, this has got some age on it, and it tends to mar up the plastic. So this round shaft is the most important part. So what I've done so far here is, I've pulled this off. I just came up from underneath it here, dug out, pulled down, and it comes right out, and then there's this hook area at the bottom, right, that just lifts out. Then I came over here to the controls, and there were actually 2 bolts that I've removed so far. One was behind the button assembly here. It went right in here, okay, and I just used a little, 1/4 inch socket to get that off. And then there was also one over here underneath the door handle. So far those are the 2 threaded pieces that I've had to remove. So I've kind of reacquainted myself with the job, right? I don't remember all the details and everything, and I started to pry on it with the upholstery tool a little bit, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. So what I did was, and I forgot to mention, there was one bolt down here, threaded bolt, short one, relative to the other 2. They were long, this one at the bottom was short. I removed it, then what I did was I just lifted up, and it's all hooks that attach to the door. So this thing is getting ready to come off here, and I still have some bits and pieces that sort of need to get handled. One is, for example, the door latch, and then I've got a wire down to the courtesy light. The wires here will release. I've got a wire to the speaker. Again, it's a push, pin type of situation. So all I have to do is just unscrew these, and then the whole panel will come off, which, if I can get my hand in there, would be helpful. Give that a twist. And I'll get to get down on my hands and knees to get that one. And this guy for the speaker is actually the tweeter. And I'm going to have to get a pair of probably needle nose pliers to give that a squeeze. So I'm just going to hang this here for a minute so I'm not on the wires themselves, and go get some other tools and maybe get a helper to kind of help me with that. Door panel is off, and you can kind of get a sense for where all the connectors are located, and notice that they're all hooks, right? And they're big and beefy. They're really huge. They're all over the place. There must be, what, 6, 8 of them here at least, if not 10, that hold this thing together. And then over here on the door itself, we've got that plastic that I was mentioning, right? This is all going to come off, right? I see a bolt here that's going to have to be taken out to remove the latch. And I'm going to have to just kind of play with these wires, right, and get them out of my way and just sort of manage them throughout the process until I can actually get in and see what is causing the problem with the window itself. When you remove the door handle, there's one bolt holding it on. However, it's just not going to fall off. You have to slide it forward, and there are these set of tabs that are actually hooking it onto the door, and that's what keeps it in place. All right, so the rod handle goes into this piece of plastic, and it swivels on this piece of plastic. You may be inclined to try and pry that up. Don't do that, right? If you look at the back side, it's slotted. So remove the rod from the slot first, then the rod will come straight up out of this bit of plastic. This plastic is real brittle, and if you break this, you're done. You can't fix this problem until you get that part replaced. So I'm just coming up on the last bits of removing the plastic protective covering, and as I mentioned in the beginning that I used silicone on the door in my last go-round with this to get the plastic to stick, and I can tell you it's working perfect. It's on there really good. I mean, I just can't walk up here and just take this off. I have to work this out. And what I did was a whole series of blobs, right, rather than snaking it all around. And it seems to have done a really good job, especially for some reason up here on the front. It's really sticky. And, you know, it's not what was on it in the factory. And what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of cleanup before I reattach this so I can get a good seal again, because it's pretty dirty and, you know, dust and whatnot has gotten up in there. So there's the plastic, and you can manhandle it a little bit, but not too much. So I found at least two problems. Here's the new part, right, and it goes on in this orientation, and you can kind of picture the way things go together. So let me set this down and show you what I found, what actually broke on this thing. We have this plastic piece here. This is supposed to be connected permanently, and it's just dangling, so obviously that's one trouble. And then I also see here where this cable has jumped out of this slot. It actually goes inside of it on the new part, and there is a spring and a piece of plastic that I don't see right at the moment. You can see me even dangling there. The window just started to fall down as soon as I started mucking with it. So, you know, it's just all screwed up. So, you know, that's definitely the problem, and I'm going to take this, disconnect the window from this, which is really just two bolts. I mean, that's all that holds it in, and then start to take off the 4 bolts. And there may be more, but I think it's just 4 that hold the whole regulator assembly in. And then you kind of, you know, do this whole work it out thing to try and get it out of the slot, and then start to bolt it back together. It's relatively simple, and it solves a humongous problem for you. I remember from the last time that I did this, well, actually a couple of things. One of them is that the window has to be manually raised as far as you can into the up position so that you can access these 2 bolts. That's what's holding the window onto the actual regulator itself. So there's one here through that hole, and then there's one right here through this hole. So as soon as you undo them, that will separate the glass. Then the glass won't have anything supporting it anymore. So what I did was, and what I remember from the last time was, I used just boxing tape, you know, just a dispenser type of thing. The problem was that I recall wrapping it around here, and that tape was on the paint. That tape did not want to come off that paint. I spent probably another hour cleaning that tape off. So I've wrapped this towel over it to protect it, and I don't care about the rag. If it comes off, great. If not, that's okay too. So as soon as I release it, the window will stay up, then I can start working on getting the regulator out. Okay, so I've disconnected the electrical connection to the motor. There were actually 6 bolts holding the whole thing on. 1, 2, 3 in the back, and then 1, 2, 3 in the front. And this thing is just absolutely falling apart in my hands, right? So I've taken it and I've rotated it lengthwise so that it'll come out the slot here. I've got the back out. Here comes the front. And you can see we just got cables and all kinds of stuff just you know, turned into spaghetti here on me, and that's why the window doesn't work. So there you have it, and we're going to install the new one here in just a minute. All right, so like I said, it's pretty much just a, you know, deal with it as it comes. 6 bolts are back in, they're all tightened down. I've got power going to the thing. I know it works. What I've done is I've lowered these and kind of mucked around with them so that the window clips that are right here, I've taken and loosened them up, right, so that when this goes up and it attaches to the window, it's going to grab it. And then I'm going to start to do whatever adjustments are necessary there so that I can tighten this. And this is a torque specification, right? You don't want to over tighten this, you'll break the window. So you need to be careful. I can tell you that when I removed them, they were really tight. And I'm sure I torqued them last time. I have a torque wrench, so I use it, right? So, you know, if you don't have one, you just kind of got to guess it through. But it's got to be tight enough so that it doesn't let go of the window for accidentally, but yet tight enough so that you don't break it as well. All right, I'm going to start to adjust this and watch it come up to the window. This one's just now starting to touch. This one as well. Give it a little help here. Yeah. Okay, so now the window's driven home. Now I'm going to tighten these up according to this torque spec. Torque spec on it is 9 newtons or 80 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds only, or 9 newtons. Okay, everything is back together, so of course we're going to test this thing before we put it all, button this all up. So there's the down position. It's got an auto down on it. And up. It goes a little slower than what I would anticipate, but it seems like I've done it a couple times, cycled it through. It seems like it's speeding up, and maybe that's just a issue of lubrication or something like that. It goes down really, really well. It actually sounds better than the old one ever did, even on a good day. So I think I'm pretty good with that. Next step is going to be to take some of the globs of silicone that are on here. I'll knock those down a little bit. Then I'm going to put the visqueen plastic back on, and then start to build my, my outside perimeter with the silicone, with the new silicone, and go from there. So I delayed the project by 1 day. The reason I did that was before I put the interior panel back on, I was doing some spot cleaning and whatnot, and I noticed that the pull handle for the door, some of the upholstery was coming off, so I removed it. I glued and clamped it, and it's set overnight, so I've got it all back together. And I have tested this. One thing I might want to point out is that I tested the lock, and the lock kept jumping to open. It would not lock. And I realized I still had the key in the ignition, so it won't do that, right? So don't, I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to pull the whole door apart again to figure out what's wrong with the lock, but that's not the issue. It all works, so let's just take it through a run through and make sure. Good. It's currently unlocked, and lock is good, unlock is good. Set to go. Thanks for watching.